So it's now being recorded, and now we're going live. I think it is being streamed. That's what it says.
I can see it. Do you want me to? Oh, it is saying it right there. All right. Yeah, it's live. And we're live. Here we are.
Do you guys see it on the Facebook page?
Yeah, we got a notification that it went live.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so hello, how are you guys today?
We're good.
Yeah. Excited to be here.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so we'll kind of start with more of like an icebreaker kind of question, more of like how you guys got into playing handball and when did you guys start playing Alberta?
Yours was way before mine.
Whoa, slow down here. I started playing when I was 16. I was playing soccer, and my coach was starting a juvenile team with handball. Alexis.
Okay.
Baltimore, now Alexis Sickler.
Yeah.
Her and Amber were starting to coach a juvenile team, so she just asked all the soccer players if anybody's interested in coming out, and we were maybe 3 or 4 that came out to the tryouts, and the rest is history. That's kind of where I started. So that was juveniles when I was 16 with Alexis and Amber as coaches, and then went on to play juniors the year after.
Okay.
I one of the guys that I played handball with at ABJ, Spencer O'Donnell, he told me, he's like, yeah, you should play handball. It's really fun. It gives you something to do in like the off season. Like it's kind of like an all around thing. And I never seen it. I never heard of it. But ABJ didn't have enough girls. So then I went to Bafacey to play, and Alexis Sickler was the coach.
Wow.
So she is literally recruiting for Norway at this point. And yeah, she told me, like, I think you'd really like it. You should come try, or you should come to an Alberta camp. They needed left-handed people, like every team in the world. So yeah, I think there was like I don't know like a recruitment camp or something, but there was like a ton of new people that came to see it or came to play, and we all got to try stick 'em, and we ripped all our fingertips off, and I was sold.
That's awesome. So you guys are both, Abby, you're from Sherwood Park, and Kim, are you from our Drawson area?
Yeah.
Okay, so Abby, you went to ABJ, and Kim, you went to our Drawson, I assume?
I did.
Yes.
From kindergarten to grade 12.
So then, Abby, you played at Facey. Kim, did you play was there a team at our Drawson when you were there, or?
No, I never, well, I played at the Alberta Winter Games.
Yeah.
With a team from our Drawson, actually before I got into the Alberta program. I had my older sister played and my brother played, so I'd kind of seen it before. I started playing myself with Alberta, and then I played within our Drawson team in the Alberta Winter Games. And then there wasn't really a team at our Drawson, and I played 1 year for Bev Facey when I was in the Alberta program, but they didn't want me to come in and take a spot from a Facey player, so I ended up playing on Facey 3. Okay. And it was kind of a little bit of a joke, so I played out a few games. And I remember one game I was playing against Kit, Kristen Kitagawa was coaching. Yeah. And I went up and I shot, and I jumped straight up, and somebody came and they hit me, and I fell backwards fell back, and it looked maybe brutal, or I wasn't awkward. I was really tall and really awkward outside of the goal. So I remember that I think Mike was coaching, and he went up or somehow he got a hold of Kit and went up and said to Kit, if Kim has the ball, your players let her shoot. Like, do not touch her. We cannot have her hurt. She's our goalie. You can't do this. So that's the only high school that I played was
And you played out.
And I played out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Third team. Third.
Yeah, that was really your breakout.
That's where I realized I was going to be good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Abbey, what was like your high school experience playing?
It was really good. I played with Izzy and Ashlyn and Jack and Lindy, and those were. It was really fun. It was Beth Facey was kind of in Sherwood Park known for one of like the best sports schools, kind of, and ABJ wasn't. So it was kind of cool for me to go to Facey and actually be on a good team, and we won provincials my last year. So it was kind of like it was my one shot in high school to actually be on a good team. So I really liked it. And Jacqueline actually coached our last year. So it was really fun. Like it was no really pressure or anything compared to Alberta. It was just you showed up and you did your best. And I really enjoyed it. I was really lucky that I got to go to Facey because it was kind of a tight call a little bit. And my sports director at ABJ, he said, because the coach said you're not allowed to go to Facey, we're going to try and make a team in ABJ. And so I asked the sports director, like, they're having a tryout, am I allowed to go just in case? And he's like, no, but I would go if I were you. so it just worked out really good that ABJ didn't have enough girls, and because it could have been a lot worse. I could have had to play at ABJ with 7 girls and hated it. So yeah. Lucky for me, it worked out.
That's good. Okay, so obviously you guys played Alberta for a couple years or more than a couple.
Sorry, I just have to pause. Sorry, I totally forgot. Taylor Sterling was our coach for both of the years, and Jackie helped the second year. But Taylor was the main coach, and I love Taylor. She was one of the nicest people and did everything she could to help me, and I am so embarrassed that I forgot. But yeah, shout out to Taylor. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
So can you guys give a little background of how you guys were able to get to Norway? Like what was the process to be able to play where you are playing now?
I guess I'll start because
mine doesn't happen without you.
I'm a few years back. I was at a tournament in Denmark, Dronningen Cup, that you guys been at, and played against the Norwegian team when I was 20. And after the game, one of the coaches on the team had contacted somebody, one of the guys from Alberta who contacted Mike, contacted me and said, so we set up a meeting with the coaches from this team from Norway. And they asked if I'd be interested. They were looking for a goalie. They're playing in second division, and asked if I'd be interested. So I took their information, but I didn't really think much about it. And then I went home and talked to my family, and they were like, go, like, why just go for a year? Like, why stay here? I was working and I was going to school, and they're like, just go take a year off and just go. I was like, okay, I'll try it for a year. And then I tore my ACL the first year. So when I came home, I was unsure about going back for a second season. But I met a guy the first season I was there, and he ended up coming to Canada that summer. And yeah, that's kind of what made me decide to go and try it again for another few years. So we were there for 2 years more in Molde, and then moved to France for 3 years and played in France. And that was a little bit due to trouble with visa in Norway, because it's not easy unless you have an Irish passport. It's not easy to get visas to live in Norway.
Okay.
So I went and played 3 years in France, and during that time I got married to the Norwegian that I had met the first year. We got married, and because of that and because of me living in France for 3 years, I was allowed a visa to come back to Norway. So we came back to Norway, and he started studying, and we both found clubs here in Stavanger. And yeah, that was in 2012 we moved back here. So we've been here since 2012.
Okay. That's awesome. Have you guys played on the same team since 2012, or have you moved clubs at all?
No, I played on the same team.
Okay.
And that was really nice, because in France, I was there for 3 years, and I played on a different team every year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was just moving up, like getting noticed and moving up divisions while I was there, because long story short, I was supposed to play for a really good team, and then the contract fell through because they went bankrupt.
Yeah.
So I had everything set up for a year to go there, and then it fell through. So I ended up going to play for a lower level team and then getting noticed throughout the year. So every year I moved up a division, but it meant moving and starting at a new club. And
yeah.
So when we came here, and I was happy with the club here, and we were happy with the kind of life we were building here, it was really nice to stay on a team and start having, and start having like more of a role for being part of the team instead of moving and
starting fresh.
Every year.
That makes sense. It's always like difficult to just go somewhere and then have to like pack up and go again.
Yeah. But I mean, I was there for handball, so it was a better team every year. And I just played handball for 3 years, played a year in Corsica and 2 years in Cannes. So I was on the French Riviera.
Yeah, it's a lot better weather than here. So not a bad place to move.
I mean, I may have still been there if it was still up to me, but
we made the choice. Job and
we made the choice to come back here for my husband to study.
Okay,
yeah.
And I graduated high school, and that was the year we did Pan Am Games. And after we did that, I definitely wanted to. And Kim was kind of a success story, so I kind of wanted to do something. And I spoke French all throughout school, so I thought it'd be a good idea to go to France. So I was trying to do something there, but I couldn't really get a very good team.
Yeah.
And I didn't really start thinking about it until the end of the summer. And then it's almost too late. It's best to come before a season starts.
Yeah.
And then Mike suggested that I should try Norway, because in France they do a lot of set up offenses, and that's not really my style. All I really do is run. I think Norway would be a lot better place for you. So you should talk to Kim and see if she can do anything for you. And I was really lucky that I could kind of cheat the system a little bit, that my dad was born in Ireland. So when I was 18, I got my Irish passport. So it was really easy for me to come over, and I can live here without a visa. So I talked to Kim a little bit, and she talked to some coaches here that I could play for like 3rd division or 2nd division. And then she actually also knew a family that needed an au pair, which is kind of like a live-in nanny, but not as hardcore as a nanny, right? It just kind of helped the family out with the kids and basic meals and groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were a British Australian family, and they were really nice, and they really liked me. And so I kind of just all came together around May. And then I flew out in August. And I'm still here.
It's quite a funny story. We had nationals. We found out that was in 15 in Sherwood Park.
No, 16.
2016 in Sherwood Park.
Yeah, because that was after Pan.
Yeah. And I remember after that nationals, Abby's parents pulled me aside and they said, like, you and Abbey have been talking. What do we have to do to get Abbey to Norway? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna do what I can do. I've seen her play. I have a good setup because I played on the Elite Series, and they had a working contract or professional handball contract with a 2nd division team. So it's players on the 2nd division can come and play up on the Elite Series team as well as practice with them and stuff. So I had a really good setup there in relation to handball, where Abbey could get game time and she could come practice with the Elite team as well.
Yeah, Kim is she's really good at just doing things, and people don't really say no. So they only had one right wing, and Kim pretty much asked the coach, I have this friend, can she come practice on Fridays with our team,
with the Elite team?
And they only had one right wing, so he was kind of like, okay. So I got pretty lucky that I just so happened to have a connection like that could get me into an Elite Series practice every week. And so that was huge. And I didn't play obviously any games, especially that first season. But just like to be there, and then all of a sudden they knew who I was, and they didn't have any left-handed people, so it worked out really good. I was really lucky, pretty much. I didn't really do anything myself.
It's really funny because I remember that conversation. We were sitting at Millennium Place. I was talking to Abby's parents, and I told them, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do what I can to help Abbey, but I can't guarantee she's going to come back after a year.
Yeah.
I said I was only going to go for a year, and that was in 2006. And I said, so I can't. I said I can't guarantee that she's going to come back after the year. She might meet a Norwegian, and she'll, you know, she might stay there.
And Kim also predicts the future.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. No, and it was, my mom actually said when I got on the plane that she was like, I know you're not going to come back.
So that's our story.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. No, and I had a really good second division coach, Espen.
Yeah.
So he worked as a teacher, and they had gym time. He works for like a sports school, so they had gym time every morning. So he said I could come during his lunch pretty much on every Friday. So I went and shot for an hour every Friday morning with this coach for literally no reason. Like he had nothing to gain from it. He was just like, he saw potential in me kind of, and he said like, and I was okay, but I'd only played for 2 years. So I was quite behind kind of in regards to everything else other than being a wing pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, he said that like if you want to be good, like you can be good, but we have a lot to do. So really lucky that I had somebody that cared and like put in a lot of extra time with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of comments on the messages.
Oh God. Is it from my mom?
Is Kim Perry your mom?
Yeah.
She said yes. So, and then Alexis Stickler said, "Stay in the net, Kim."
Yeah.
And Alex Ward said, "Congrats on both of your successes."
No.
Yeah. Thank you.
We talked about Alex and
Yeah.
the free talk. It wasn't video, but shout out to Alex.
So, how would you guys say your relationship has changed after playing together in Norway?
Well, I didn't really, like, I knew you. It was kind of like this God symbol of in Norway. That's like how I grew up, or in those 2 years. Grew up. No, that like that was like, she was one of the best things that kind of came out of Alberta. So that's how I knew her. And then when I came here, she like picked me up on my first practice, drove me to practice. I didn't have a ball. She's like, oh, I got a ball in the car. So I used her ball, and so I depended on her a lot at the beginning, more than I really thought I think I would have. But I didn't really have a lot. I had friends like on my team. But yeah, I hung out with Kim every weekend for a long time. So we became pretty close pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think like when we played before Abbey came here, I just knew her as the fast right winger, left-handed right winger. And we played at a few tournaments and stuff, but we never really hung out, or I mean it's
the age
tournaments
gap,
and well, slow down. But
yeah, we never really like had to be one-on-one, or we never really had the chance either, I guess.
Yeah, but I think kind of when she came here, I saw her as like my responsibility. Yeah. She was like my little sister. Like I wanted so bad for her to do well, and I brought other players over before when I was in Molde.
Mm-hmm.
And they stayed for a season or half a season and then went back. So I really want, if people want to take the risk and come here, I really want them to do well. So, I mean, at the beginning, like Abbey said, she practiced with my team every Friday, and she picked me up. I'd pick her
every
up.
day.
Yeah, and
or
then
every Friday.
She'd come to my house every Friday, and we'd have steak and fries
and Torrid welcomed me into the family. So guarantee, it's Friday. Abby's gonna be here.
Abby's coming over after practice. So
and he made me shower because you're not allowed in their house if you don't shower. So yeah, I think I would have. I don't know if I would have come back, because it was such a positive thing. Like I had something to look forward to every week. Kind of, it was like the highlight of my day. It was like it's Friday at 4, fun time. So it made a big difference just to have somebody that wanted you to succeed.
Yeah.
So it was, and that understood. Like we'd been through kind of the same thing, that like you're an au pair, you're away from your family, and like you're just trying to make it, and you don't know the language, and the girls on the teams are really nice, but like the first year they're nice to you because they have to be. That it's a teammate thing to do. Like you don't really hang out with them right off the get-go kind of. So yeah, I'm impressed that you made it, because you didn't have you.
I didn't have Mulda. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I think like for me too, Abbey was a little bit of a comfort. Yeah. Like to have somebody here that just.
And we could complain about the same things. Yeah,
and we didn't really have the same player, like generation of players, but she knows a lot of the people that I played with, and I mean, just it's not even the fact that we have the same interest in players. I could speak English to somebody, and we could talk about home and missing our families, and just like. And
we actually grew up. Like, because I lived outside of Sherwood Park, so we actually grew up probably like 15 minutes away from each other. So it's like we had such similar childhoods that it was kind of like, why aren't we already friends? Like we had so much in common, and especially like difficult situations really bring people together, I think. And then it kind of highlighted hers, that like, yeah, I'm alone out here, like so are you. We can be alone together. So,
but I think honestly, probably having babies at the same time.
I think that's the reason we're still friends.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Because otherwise, I think we would have still stayed in contact. But now, like, we literally have 2 girls that are
2 months apart.
2 months apart,
and we live 2 minutes away from each other.
So we go to swimming together. We go sledding together. We go grocery shopping together. No, we do everything together. So and that was another whole like bonding thing, is to like have a baby in a country where you don't have any family, you don't really have any
support.
We don't have any cousins even, or anything. Like nobody can watch your kid, or like if you need to do something, it's hard to ask. Like you have friends, but not like, can you watch my kid for 5-minute friends?
Yeah, and her fiance, his family's not here. My husband's family's not here, so I'm not like worried to call Abbey and say, can you watch Stella for the night? I'll bring her over, because me and Tord want to go out. So it's kind of, we lean a lot on each other for that as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's like, now we really locked in the friendship for life. It used to just be a teammate thing, but now not anymore. Yeah. We're mom friends.
I went to Germany last year, and I had a friend that came with me. And I definitely understand like the experience of leaning on that person, because like I think our relationship grew so much just over the year that we were there.
Yeah, it's such a different experience to like be able to share that with somebody, because it's people like, you can kind of understand what it's like, but it's not like moving to Calgary, you know. It's like you don't see your family. Like you're lucky if you get to go home for the holidays, and like even the time zone, like you can call, but if your parents have jobs, you can call maybe on the weekends if both of you don't have plans, right? So it's not so easy as just like they're a phone call away. Like that's, you do the best you can, but like it's different. And I think you appreciate it a lot more if you do it yourself, and if you have a friend that's doing the same thing, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. I also want to point out, it's funny, Abbey, that you say that Kim was like the one that you looked up to, because for me playing, it was like both of you guys were the people that I wanted to be. So it's so funny that that's happening.
Yeah, and it is kind of crazy, because if you think of like so many other sports that like once people move on, if it's been like 5-10 years, like that somebody might talk about them, but once they're gone, it's kind of over. Like there's always somebody new every year. But in handball, it's such a close knit family that like people have played with, like you play with people 5 years older than you, and they played with people 5 years older than them. So you get to know all of these people, and like, oh, have you heard of this person? Have you heard of this person? Like, oh, you should have seen them play. Like that was like the beginning. And then like every 5 years they say that, like, oh, she was the beginning. Oh, that was the beginning. Like I've heard that so many times that like it's almost every generation like revolutionizes Alberta kind of, that like, oh, now we get to do this. We get to go to Chicago. We like, it's growing every year. So I hope there's just more and more that they forget about us eventually.
I don't know if anyone will forget about you too, but
people just kept coming. I hope so.
Okay. Do you guys have a favorite memory together?
I was trying to think about that, but I don't know if we've ever really done something that's like so crazy that I would like call it. Like we've gone out together and that's been really fun. I don't really remember, but I know that it was fun. I would just say that like just driving to practice on Fridays and like I could complain about my whole week of being this like mom of like these 3 kids that like, oh, you should have seen like Finn wanted to wear his swim trunks to daycare and like I could just complain and like she just listened and laughed and so and then we would go and we'd watch a movie and that was just like the best time of my week every week kind of. So I think that was my favorite memory is like that first year.
Was when we
and that's even better.
Abbey played a lot that game and scored 5 goals, and that's when Larvik was still Larvik. And they were one of the best teams in Elite Series, so that was huge. And it was in a cup, so it was like we were such an underdog in that game, and we played and she played so good, and I felt like that was one of the first games where we actually like really played together. No, but we really like connected kind of, and that was a huge game. So I can agree. I thought about that too. So handball wise, I think that's our when it comes to Norway, that's a really cool thing that I remember.
And I also remember like Pan Am Games was a big thing, but there was like so much else going on. Like it was such a big tournament that it's like I was so stressed the whole time. But like that game, it was just fun. Like we shouldn't have won. There was no pressure to win. And it was just like, holy crap, we're winning.
Okay. I think there's a little connection issue on the live stream, so we're going to hope that figures itself out.
Okay. Classic.
Was the language a barrier for you guys?
I don't know. I don't know how your coach was the first year. Like, did they speak English to you and like the coach or the girls?
I think the girls. It'd be funny because you'd be sitting in a change room at halftime, and the coach would talk for 5 minutes straight, and you'd just sit there and you wouldn't know anything.
Like you don't understand anything.
And then you'd be like, "What did he say? Oh, it doesn't matter." Or he just said that you need to throw the ball faster, or like. So you like at the beginning you kind of feel like you're missing out on a lot, but
like it's pretty excluding kind of, and not in a way that they mean to not. And lots of coaches are like that they like talk and then like for my position there might be something so small out of that I should have taken, and then you just hope somebody tells you. So that was kind of tough. I can agree at the beginning that it's like, and even in practices, like explaining drills, they would all, and even they
just go to the back
drills,
of the line.
and like just hope you know what's going to happen by the time you get to the front. So it's like, and the girls were a little bit uncomfortable, I think, at the beginning to speak English, but by the end of the season, like they didn't even care. Like they, like even the worst ones were just like, here, and then she passes, and then you go there and shoot. Like it doesn't have to be a big paragraph, but they get the point that like I literally don't know what's going on. Give me something.
And they know English really well here too, so that helps.
They learn English in school, so I think they just a lot of them don't use it after high school. I don't know.
And they don't like talking. Like if I'm in a big group with a lot of Norwegians, nobody will speak English to me, even to this day, right? But now I can speak Norwegian. But if I get somebody one-on-one, sometimes they'll just start speaking English to me because then there's nobody to make fun of them if they're wrong, or it's just like more one-on-one. But in big groups, a lot of Norwegians don't feel comfortable talking English, even though they speak English very well. So I feel like everyday life, it was never a big issue.
No, like in the grocery stores and stuff like that, like everybody speaks English. And if you had an issue or something, like there's always somebody around. So it wasn't like a really big problem, but it's not nice. Like when you don't know what's happening, especially practice and games, then it's a bit like, that would be nice if I knew what was happening. But
like I said, even now I've lived here 14 years and it's just nice to have Abbey over so that we can just speak English to each other and not have to like
think about it and like it's just so natural.
Okay, Abbey, do you know Norwegian now?
Yeah, I studied a year at the university learning just Norwegian.
Okay.
So now I can. And I, even after like the year I played handball, I knew a lot of like handball terms.
Yeah.
Especially because in Canada, we don't really have a lot of names for stuff. Like when you throw the ball to the middle after a goal, like what do you call that? Like we don't have a word for it. But they have a word for that. So I kind of learned it just because just certain situations, like you learn what things are called. Yeah. So in handball, it was easier, but I think in day-to-day life, like it's nice to know it. And to get a job and to go to school and everything, I needed to learn it. So I'm really happy that I did. I almost wish I'd done it the first year, but I didn't think I was going to stay. So
yeah. For the first year, do you think if Kim wasn't there, you would be more like willing, you would have learned Norwegian faster?
No, I don't think so. I think it had more, because when you're an au pair, the family has to provide lessons if you want to learn Norwegian. So I said I didn't want to. I'd rather use it playing handball or working out. I didn't want to like use my time to learn Norwegian. So I didn't really have anything to do with her. It was just more so like, why commit to a language that I'll never use again?
And you were also an au pair with an English family.
Yeah. So I didn't have to speak Norwegian at home. My family was English. So
the first year that I came to Norway, I was an au pair, and it was 4 kids under 4, and it was a Norwegian family. So if I wanted to speak with those, and well, 2 of them were newborn twins, so I didn't really speak with them. The two older boys, it was kind of already supplemented into my everyday life here. Yeah. Whereas Abbey didn't have that when she was with English family.
It's like interesting.
Coach, just the Elite Series coach at the time, he didn't speak English to me. My coach, if I had a question for him or something, or he would explain at the end if he talked like, oh, this is what I said. But the Elite Series coach did. He would only talk English when we like sat down in the, what's it called, boardroom? Meeting room. And we had like a one-on-one. Then he would speak English to me. But at Elite Series, then I had Kim. So then she could tell me what was happening. So it was okay. But I think if I had that situation, it would have been tougher, that maybe I would have taken it a bit more seriously. But at the other practice, my coach was really good at telling me what was going on for the most part. So
that's good. It's interesting to hear your point of view from like learning it in the first year, that like you just kind of were like, I didn't know if I would need to learn it. And because like for me, I tried to learn German and it was like very difficult for me to learn, but I thought I was too dependent on Katie, who I was there with, because we would just talk English with each other. So it's interesting to see that it wasn't just because of Kim, that there was like other factors as why. So there's probably other factors why I didn't learn it as I should have.
Yeah, and I think if you have a reason, like my boyfriend, or he has a son, and he was 4 when I met him, so he only spoke Norwegian. So then once it was kind of serious with him, then I knew that if I wanted to be like in a real relationship, and if I wanted to get to know his son, then I had to learn Norwegian. So that kind of gave me a lot bigger of a purpose. And then I really tried to learn it, and I did a course like the next year, and then the year after that I did like a full 2 semesters at the University of just Norwegian, because that was something that then it became really important to me. So I think if you have a reason, and now like I'm taking a bachelor in a Norwegian course, so that now it kind of gives me a purpose, that like it's not just so I can talk, say I don't need a receipt at the grocery store, like it's for the future. So then I think then I care more. But I think if it was just for an experience, then I don't think you have the same commitment.
That makes sense. Okay, we have another question from Mike, and he asked, who is the best player that you have ever played against?
For me, it would be the left-handed right winger that played for Larvik. Her last name is Riggerud. Ann-Kristin Riggerud. She played on the national team for a long, long time, Norwegian national team. And I just remember the first game I had against her, the first year I was here, I wasn't the first goalie for Sola.
Yeah.
And then I operated my knee on the second year. So by middle of second year, third year, I was starting to be seen as the first goalie.
Yeah.
And I played against Ann-Kristin Riggerud. Probably saying that a little bit wrong, but right winger for Larvik at the time. She, like I said, she was a national team player, and she shot on me, and it was just the way her body was. I didn't even see her arm before it went in the net, and I just, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm in the big leagues like this. So like for me, that was like the oh my god moment. And then, I mean, to name drop, played against Heidi Løke, Nora Mørk. We've played with Camilla Herrem.
The whole Norwegian
so any Norwegians that have played in Norway in the last 7 years, I've played against them. So that's really cool. And then, like I said, we played with Camilla Herrem, which is the best left wing in the world. So that's
what I was gonna say.
cool.
Is my the hardest person I've ever played against.
You're running
literally
with her.
every single practice I was against her. They pretty much line it up like first line against second line.
Yeah.
So it was kind of 50-50, me and the other right wing, like who was on first and who was on second.
Yeah.
So I'd say half of the practices, it was me against Camilla for any sort of 6-on-6, any sort of 1-on-1. And like it's funny that like people think that I'm fast because I'm not. but the thing is, like, she is so good at cheating that even if, like, I'm not going to say she's faster than me, but it shouldn't be she's 5 meters faster than me in a 20-meter sprint. But she is just so good at leaving,
at reading the situation.
That like you basically just have to wait at half court if you want to catch her. Like and luckily in Norway, it's not really looked upon as my responsibility for that winger. Like in certain games, if we know their wings run all the time, then they'll just say, look, don't shoot this game, just take the wing, because I'll score less goals than they will. So at the end of the day, it's better if I just watch her. Especially like, but also it was one of like the best experiences because I was never expected really to be the one that won. So anytime we did a 1-on-1, anytime like I could fight with the ball like against her, anytime I won, it was just like through the roof confidence because I was like, look at me.
I remember one practice when Abbey was starting out with us.
Oh no, okay.
And she did something, and Camilla said, "Good job, Abbey." And Abbey turned to me. She's like, "She knows my name. Did you hear that?"
Yeah, no, and like Camilla's one of the most competitive people I've ever met, but at the same time, like I could have asked her anything and she would use the whole water break or whatever to explain anything. So like it was hard to play against her, and she expected a lot of people that she played with. But if the time was right and it wasn't in a game, then she would do anything she could to help you. So I wish I could have played more with her. I only really played with her like my last season, or like a season and a half, I guess. But yeah, it was very cool and kind of crappy sometimes. But yeah, that's how it is when you play against somebody like that.
Yeah. Okay, so what were some strategies you used to get back from like a bad practice, a bad game, like, or if you had a bad practice, bad game, like how would you go home after and being like alone? How would you deal with that?
For me, when it comes to bad games, at least home games, I always had a rule with my husband, who's very handball. His life is handball as well. We had the car ride home. So when I had a shitty game or whatever, we had the car ride home to talk about it, and he could criticize me. He could say whatever he wanted. He could whatever. But when we got home, then it was move on to the next. Or I always came home and watched the game, actually. So it wasn't always just the car ride. I guess the car ride was just a rule for him.
Yeah.
That he had the whole car ride to tell me his thoughts, and then after that, I didn't want to hear them anymore. And I'd always come home. I was very analytical with video. So I would watch, if it was a game, I'd watch a lot of video, whether it was good or bad, and try and figure out how to be better.
Yeah.
And for practices, I mean, when you practice six days a week, you just,
one of them is bound to be not good, but you have one tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like practices, it was always kind of okay to not perform your best. Like there was always something to work on, and it was never really like, okay, shoot 10 balls. If you don't shoot 10, you have to run 3 kilometers. It was kind of I don't know, it was okay to miss. Like, it was more so your team, because we did a lot of like 6-on-6, 3-on-3, where it was a competition.
Yeah.
So I think that was more so the pressure behind it. Like, you want to do well for your team. But I didn't feel like it was ever I don't know. No, do you have a different experience?
No, and you're playing with some of the best players. Like your practices, you're playing on an elite team, and these are all players. Some of them have played on national teams. Some of them have played in Elite Series for like. So I mean, it's just
And lots of the time when I had a bad practice, it was because of her. Like if I couldn't score or something. So then she honestly would tell her, even at the end of practice, she'd be like, "Do you want to shoot a couple more?" Or like, and then on the way home, she'd be like, "Yeah, but like it was really obvious that you were gonna go short side like 5 times in a row. So you just gotta work on that." So it was always kind of like okay to not shoot well because I was shooting against her. But there was some games like when I played for my second division team and I was no pair, that I remember one time I had a really bad game, and like my family can't watch it, and like nobody really, like, you came to some games, but there were some games where like nobody was there to like watch me, so nobody really cared if I had a bad game or knew. And I remember one time I had a really bad game, and I came home, and my au pair family had a 1-year-old. And then I came up the stairs and I was just like, wanted to cry. And he just like ran up and just gave me a huge hug. So it was just kind of like, okay, like, is it really that bad? And it was almost, I just remember that moment because I was just like, I always had somebody that cared kind of at the end of the day. So, and I had a tough like not attitude, but I was really bad at losing. And I was really bad at not playing well. And I would get really mad, and I don't know, the girls I played with thought it was kind of funny that I would get so mad at myself that they were like, why? Why do you care? So I just kind of had to grow up a little bit about it, that like,
it's not the end of the world.
No, and it doesn't help like to be so negative about it. You're not going to get better because of that. So it was more so just to take myself a little bit less seriously, that like, you have practice tomorrow. So you can't let it hold you for forever. So,
and that's funny what you said about Finn, because I played a year after I had my daughter. I played a full year. And even though I had a baby 3 months ago and I've started playing again, people still expect if you're going to be there, you're going to be there 100% and you're going to be your best. So I mean, after being away for almost a year, your body doesn't always do what you want it to do, and it's the same, like, you feel like there's so many expectations, but you're coming back after having a baby 2 months ago and you're already standing in it and practicing and stuff. And it's just like,
and they just know the you from your prime from literally 9 months ago.
But then like you get home and there's just like this little thing waiting for you that doesn't care.
No, like they have things.
So that was like for my year back when I played, when I had her, it was always nice to come home. No matter what, she was there. So that was actually like a big help for that season too.
And you don't like, there's no use being negative. Like when you come home and they just have joy, that it's like, you can't be the person like, oh, you had a bad game, so you're just gonna like ruin everyone's day.
Proud about it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, you don't have a choice. Like it's gone. So just have a baby, and then it's really easy.
Solves everything. Okay, this is like a personal question because I'm currently, like, I tore my shoulder, so I'm on the wait list for surgery. But I want advice on how, with the injury, like, I know I listened to your podcast, Kim, so I know that you tore your ACL a few times. Abby, I don't know if you've had like a significant injury or anything, but how did you stay positive through it and like keep wanting to like keep going and pushing? Like, I feel like currently I'm in such like a down energy, and like I'm like, don't want to give up, but I just like don't see there being a future. So I just want to know like your advice in hopes that I can apply it to myself.
For me, I tore my ACL in both my knees. One my first year in playing in Norway, and one my first year playing in France. In the France one, I waited until I came back to Norway to operate. And then I've done menisc on both. So I've been through those tough situations. My advice doesn't exactly help you right now in relation to COVID, because my advice for you would be, I went to everything. I went, and I mean, here we practice every day. So even when I couldn't practice, I was in the gym. We had a workout place right beside the handball gym. So I was at every practice. Even if I wasn't doing anything that day, I went to practice. I went and saw the girls. I'd stretch. I'd do, if it meant sitting there with a ball underneath my foot and contracting my muscles just to keep my knee activated. I mean, I did that. But I mean, for me, it was just really important to always go to practice no matter what. And that gave me the motivation to practice and to train to get better. So, I mean, it's not easy, but the first practice back or the first game back, you forget about all of the crap you went through the last year, or the trainings, or the pain, or just that first game back.
Yeah, it was all not worth it, but yeah, it's just, it happened, and at the end of the day, you're back. So, yeah. No, and it was kind of the same thing when you were pregnant. That like you still went a lot, even like you couldn't play. I didn't go so much, but I didn't have a contract. So. No, but she was at a lot of stuff, and then I feel like it was like you were never gone, right? Because when you're injured, it's kind of easy to kind of fade into the depths a little bit, and
and I knew that there was no question in my mind that I was going to come back after the surgeries or after the pregnancy. I had Stella in May, and my goal was to be back by the next season. And in August, I was at training camp and practicing.
July.
So I mean, my mindset was that I was going to be back playing after surgery. No matter, I wasn't done. I wasn't done showing what I could do and proving to people that I could do it. I'm kind of stuck up like that.
It's so competitive.
Just proving people wrong. I think that was the same with like when I came back after pregnancy. I mean, I played the year, and I would have loved to play longer, but it was just proving to people that I can have a baby and come back and play in the Elite Series. I'm headed like that. Just proving people wrong, really. But like I said, it helped deciding that I was going to practice no matter what.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
I've never really had an injury. I've sprained my ankle a few times, and I've jammed my fingers, but I've been really fortunate that I've especially handball. I've never been out for more than a few weeks, so I can't really add anything. But
that's okay.
With what she says, and even being a player. And in the middle of the season, if it's a tough time, and she's still there every day, then it doesn't feel like you're injured, but you're still part of the team. So even from somebody still playing, it makes a big difference just to see that they're just as committed, even if they're not playing right then. It has nothing to do with if they're injured or not. We have practice, so I have to respect people that are committed.
Okay, awesome. So another question is, what were strategies that's the wrong thing. What advice would you give to someone like a young player that wants to come to Europe to play?
Work hard and do it for you. Like I said, I helped quite a few players come to Norway the first 3 years when I was in Molde. And you have to make sure that you're doing it for you, because if you're there to prove to somebody else that you can do it, or if you're there just for the status of doing it, then you're not going to make it. You have to do it for you.
Yeah.
And I remember saying that, I can't remember if I said it in the first podcast to Mike that wasn't recorded, or whether I had said it in the second one. And he was pretty shocked when I said it, is that you want to play on the best team, but I mean, I think Abbey's situation, she might have felt really different if she came here to an elite team.
Yeah, I wouldn't have played.
Because in the first year I went to Norway, I played on the second division team. And then in France, I played on a lower level team. So it's just make sure that you're going and you're playing to your level.
Yeah.
Because the only thing, I mean, coming from Canada and coming to Europe and playing, where here handball is really well known and you can get all the help that you need really. To come and play for a higher level team just for that status and sitting on the bench is not going to help you. So make sure that you find a team that is that you're comfortable playing with at your level, and also, like Abby mentioned in the beginning, make sure that you find a team or a league that kind of has your style.
Mm-hmm.
Norway loves to run, but maybe
Yeah.
if she was in France, she might have had a different experience,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, that as a goalie, I'm there to
Yeah.
save the ball, so it doesn't really apply to me very much. But I mean, even the throwing part, like I have to throw a ball to Camilla, like I need, and I've been yelled at a lot by when I make a save or the ball goes out, I have 2 seconds to get that ball. I need to hurry my ass and get that ball because our team runs,
Mm-hmm.
and if I can't get the ball fast enough to throw it to them, then we're losing that goal, right? So, I mean, my advice for people coming overseas is make sure that you're ready for it and you're doing it for you, and make sure that you're working 10 times harder than anybody else, because you're 10 times harder than anybody else at home is the average here.
Yeah.
Like normal.
like
girls,
2 practices a day, working out at 6 a.m. before work because you have to practice after. Like, so just make sure that you're ready for the physical aspect of it too. And yeah, do it for you, and make sure that you're playing at a level that you can improve at.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just say the one thing that was kind of a surprise to me is how many handball teams there are, even in Norway, that like if there's a country kind of that interests you, that like you've seen how they play or when you played in a tournament against them, like just research. And I was lucky because I knew Kim, but I've thought about it a little bit, like how would I have made it here if she hadn't told me, like, yeah, I have a couple teams here, like you can come try it, and like it's a good team, and like, but she really helped me find somebody. But now that I'm here, I can kind of see that if you go to almost any city or any, like, there's bound to be a handball team.
Yeah.
So it's tough to kind of make that first move, but like if you research any teams, and the language might be a little bit tough kind of, but like if you email a coach and tell them about yourself, or if you have any videos of yourself, I think a lot of people would be interested just in that. So you really have to put yourself out there. Like I was lucky that she helped me a lot, but you have to do a lot of work otherwise to make it happen. If you don't get any offers yourself, that doesn't mean that it's over. Yeah. Like and even I had one of my really good friends here, she did an exchange program in I think Amsterdam or Holland, and she just looked up a couple teams in that area, and for them that was just normal. Like, yeah, there's going to be a handball team, and I'll just go practice there. But so for her, and then she just emailed them, like, I play here in Norway, blah 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 blah, and then she just went to practice. So it might be scary, I think, to just move there, but I would do it. And I think a lot of teams are, I mean, it's different if you go to a team and say, hey, I need money or I need a contract. Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, I think I had a team that wanted me to come, and I had a little bit of a contract with them, but I started out as an au pair my first year. I lived with a family and worked for that family. Yeah. And then you worked and helped them out through the day, and then you went to practice at night. Yeah. Abby also had an au pair family. So, I mean, if you're looking at, I mean, visa options weren't a problem for Abby, but they were for me. And I mean, au pair, it's that kind of, it's a visa to come and live for a year. So, I mean, and it's really popular in Europe, and it's different from family to family. Like my family they were very okay with me being done some days at 5:00 because I had practiced at 5:30, and they let me borrow their car lots of times. So I had a really good situation. But I think if you're open with that and you can work, and then some days I would take the kids on Sunday instead. Like if I had a game and I couldn't be there one day, then they were really willing to work with me. So, and it's an option for boys too, that you can be an au pair, and it's definitely not luxurious, I would say. Like you're basically a nanny, and it's not easy. But I don't know, it gave me a really, I don't know, I grew up a lot, and it gave me a chance to be here and play. And the second year I was really lucky that my parents were really supportive, so they were able to help me a lot so I could move out. But you can be an au pair for 2-3 years. So yeah, I like it. It was tough sometimes, but I'm really happy I got to do it, and I still talk to my au pair family. So I just have good experiences with it. Yeah, we send emails every once in a while, and like the little kids that were 5, 2, and just born are now 14, 16. One of them's driving. Like it's insane. Yeah, and I mean, at the same time, being with an au pair, if you're moving to a new country and you only have practices in the evenings,
what are you going to do during the day, right?
Yeah.
This family gave you kind of like, it gave you a purpose. And I lived in France for 3 years with my now husband, but those were pretty lonely 3 years because and I hate complaining about this because people hate me, but you just play handball. So I wake up in the morning, I go work out, and then you go home and it's like, okay, I can go to the beach, or I can go back to bed, or I can go to the cafe, and then you just wait around for practice. And I
don't really have a purpose outside of handball.
No, and we didn't have jobs or anything. It was like that was what we did. And I mean, it's really luxurious to an extent, but at the same time, it was pretty lonely those years because you didn't have like the reason. So I just think an au pair kind of helps that you have something to do during the day. And like Abby said, I was really lucky with my au pair family. It was actually the club that had found them. So they had already this agreement that I wouldn't be there on the evenings, and I'd be helping out with the 2 newborn twins during the day. And they bought me a car. So I had a car that I could use because it was about 20 minutes outside of the city. So, I mean, I think that's a really good option if you're worried about how you're going to find a visa. And then, like Abby said, there's teams all over the place, and don't look for the elite team. Look for a team that you can grow with. And I mean, you get noticed. And
there's so many. There's almost like there's 5 levels of handball, like in our county. Basically. So it's, if you pick one place on the map, there's going to be a 3rd division, 2nd division, 1 1st division Elite Series team. So like you just start somewhere, and if you're there to play handball, you work out in the mornings, you do whatever you do, and then you play handball every day. Like if that's your goal, like you can do it. You can,
and you're going to get better.
Yeah, the odds are if you practice every day, and if you are willing to put yourself out there, then it can only go well, I think.
That I understand, like, Kim, your point of view of like when you were in France, because when I was in Germany, I felt like I waited till like 6 o'clock for practice, and it was like, what am I doing? I wake up at 8, work out, and then it's like you have this whole day to just do nothing.
Yeah, and you get to practice, and you're so excited for practice. And then there's the French people, they're sitting there complaining, practice, I don't want to practice today. I was at work or at school, and I was like, I've been waiting all day for this. I've been waiting for practice ended yesterday to see all these people. And so it was, I mean, mentally for me, it was hard those 3 years in France. And like I said, I lived on the beach. So, so I mean, it's nice to have a part-time job or have a family to live with or study or to have something on the side to keep your mind a little bit occupied.
Okay, we'll kind of wrap this up with this fun question, but what are some things in Norway that are different than in Canada that took some time to get used to?
Stores are closed on Sundays. And that kind of sucks. Like I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh, is it Sunday? Then I have to plan for dinner. So that's a little bit annoying. I think so. Mostly because I just like getting groceries for whatever I want to eat that day.
I agree with that. That was annoying.
And I don't know, it takes a really long time to get anywhere. If you want to, like, Oslo is 300 kilometers away, but it takes 8 hours to drive there because it's just the landscape and the roads are they're not like, it's not Highway 2, you know.
You're driving around mountains and fjords and over and underwater.
It's a 2-lane highway, 70 kilometers an hour for 3 hours down, and you make it 100 kilometers. So,
and you can't pass people because the roads aren't wide enough to pass people, and you can't see more than 5 meters ahead of you because there's a curve, so you don't want to risk it. So it's a bit annoying.
Everything's expensive. If you have a job, it's not a problem. But I'm studying, so everything's expensive. But you're paid well, and school's free. Like childcare and healthcare is really well. What's the word I want to say? Stipend. All right.
Support.
You have really good support for school and for health and everything. So it all works out. But it was hard to get used to a beer costing $18. So everybody drinks at home.
For me, that's a really hard question because I've been here for so long. Like I when I was 20 and I'm now 34. So yeah, for me, this is life now. This is where I am. But I'd have to say at home, I miss like
Just lots of the
type
food,
of restaurants.
Yeah.
Like Boston pizza, like just like you
just
can go,
like
you can go to
cheap
one place
restaurants.
and yeah,
and like everything is just, I don't know, it feels like a special occasion to like do anything.
yeah. We went out to eat on Friday because we had actually plans on Wednesday to go
Yeah.
watch my husband. I'd gotten a babysitter. We were gonna go watch my husband play his game, and we were gonna go for sushi first. And then his game got canceled because of COVID. So we arranged, okay, well, Friday we're gonna go out. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, just to go out and eat sushi cost me $50.
Yeah, literally. So it's never just like, we can't do it once a week, kind of.
Yeah.
It is like, and that's how Norwegian people, I think, see it too. Like,
Yeah.
people don't go out to eat here once a week.
Mhm.
It is a special occasion, and everybody goes to their cabins on the weekends. So it's a bit of a different cultural lifestyle in regards to like treating yourself. It is,
Yeah.
and even drinking and stuff. It's different than at home.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's, I don't know. I had like lots of foods and stuff that I miss. You know, none of the chips are really the same. This is really first world problems. None of the pickles
Yeah,
are the
we
same.
found a store in Sola
Yeah.
that sells American pickles, but
How much are they?
They're
I know.
$20 for just a regular.
Literally a
pickle.
normal jar of pickles.
Yeah,
so
20 bucks.
we just put them in our fridge, and we don't tell anybody we bought them, and we eat them ourselves.
Yeah. My husband hates pickles,
Yeah.
so we're perfect for each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are really expensive, especially things from home. Like
And even like any like sugary cereals just like don't exist. Pretty much, you have to go downtown to the candy store to buy Fruit Loops.
to buy Fruit Loops, the candy store downtown,
And they probably cost $20. So we eat porridge and bread. Everybody eats bread, one piece of bread with stuff on top. That's weird.
not a sandwich open.
But now I kind of like it. You get a lot of toppings. It's worth it.
But these aren't things I see as weird because
Yeah.
it's just life for me now.
Yeah.
Do you guys eat like meat for breakfast, like a sandwich almost for breakfast in Norway?
Yeah, share that.
Yeah. Like, no, I wouldn't say like a pork chop, but like with ham, or they have like lots of dried hams. Or like smoked salmon is really common, like to eat for breakfast. So yeah, that's good, but it definitely wasn't something I ate at home.
No, I have cereal in
Yeah.
the mornings.
Yeah,
But Norwegians, bread.
Big bread
that was like
people.
an adjustment for sure. Was like they'd put out like meat and cheese for breakfast. I was like, this
Yeah.
is not what I want to eat in the morning.
Yeah, even now I think of it as so normal, like to have bread for breakfast. And even when I go to my boyfriend's family, whenever we visit them, it's like we have bread for breakfast, we have bread for lunch, sometimes we have bread for dinner.
They have kveldsmat, so you eat right before you go to bed. That's
Bread. and I feel kind of bad because I don't want to say anything, but I'm just like, this is weird.
Give me my pancakes
Yeah.
with my bacon and eggs.
Yeah, like can we maybe try something new for nachos?
Canadian pancakes are very popular.
Yeah,
here.
even cookies, like chocolate chip cookies. People, you can't really just buy them like at bakeries.
Yeah.
You can only really buy like really bad cinnamon buns with no sugar. No, so lots of baking and stuff. We do a lot of baking though ourselves, so we can make up for that.
Yeah.
But it is different, and apparently it's gotten a lot better even in the last 10 years. Like some of the cereals they didn't even have, and we're talking like multi-grain Cheerios is like, wow, look at the exportation. Like we're really bringing it in. So yeah, it's okay, but now I'm used to it.
Yeah.
But I'm always happy to go home and get snack. No, I can't really talk. I get it. I get a care package once a month.
Abby's parents send her care packages.
I get Oreos. Oreos, and my parents made homemade pickles this year, and I get all my favorite candies, and my mom actually sent 3 different kinds of Cheerios because I still complain about the breakfast options.
I went over to Abby's after she got back from being in Canada at Christmas, and she brought out a jar of pickles, and she was really, I could tell she didn't really want to bring them up.
I knew it was the right thing to do
because I love pickles, so she shared them with me.
No, but the worst thing is that my daughter loves pickles and my stepson loves pickles, so I have to eat them by myself. because otherwise it's gone.
You have to share.
They don't understand. Like, I'm addicted. They just like them. It's not the same.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I could tell. I never told you, but I could tell. And I ate lots of them.
I don't mind sharing apple, but it didn't hurt to have to share. My mom's gonna send you your own now. She's gonna be like, I told you to share.
Abby shares. She does. Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. What she knows. She doesn't know all the stuff I get.
I didn't know about the once a month.
Yeah.
I thought it was once every few months.
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Just don't send me anything anymore.
I'm kind of scared to brag about it. Maybe they'll think that it's.
Yeah, just wait after 13 years.
Yeah. We'll see.
Alexis wants to know if you ever see yourselves moving back to Canada.
This is kind of a tearjerker, so do you want to go first? Yours is a bit more positive.
Well, I just when I went to Norway the first year, I said it was only going to be for a year.
Yeah.
And then went back. And then after 3 years, I actually didn't have a visa to be in Norway anymore, so I went to France. And then I told my parents that when we moved back to Norway, my husband was going to study, and it's free here. So it didn't make sense to go home and pay for his university. So we probably think about moving back after he was done studying, and he was done studying and he got a really good job here. So it's like, and then I said, I could never have a baby here because I don't have family here, and I'm really close with my family. So it was like, when I have a baby, I'm going to move home. And then I had a baby, and we bought a house in May. We bought a house, right? So it's open, and my husband's open for it as well if it works out with how our life is. And I miss home, and like I said, I'm really close with my family, and my brother's got 2 girls and my sister has a girl, so that's probably the hardest part about being away.
Yeah.
But I mean, after 13-14 years, I have a life here, and where I'm really happy with the job that I have. I'm temporarily laid off right now because of Corona, so I'm fixing up my house in the free time, but I'm also an administrative director for a handball club here. Part-time. It's a girls club from 5 years old up to 16 that I really enjoy doing. And so, I mean, I'm open to moving home if the options come up and it makes sense for me and my husband and my daughter, then I'd love to come home. But at the same time, I really enjoy the life that I've made here. So I'm somebody that kind of just takes it as it comes. It's a big thing that kind of has to happen. Like even my au pair family, she was Australian, and she hated like the weather, and she hated how dark it was in the winter and how cold it gets. And they just kind of decided in I want to say like March or something that they were moving back, and they moved back in October that year. So it happened pretty fast when they decided. I think it's easy to say, but once you decide, then there's a lot of planning that goes behind it. So, and I mean, my parents are going to be retired soon, so I'm hoping that means that they can come more often and visit. My mom works at a school, so she has summers off, but that's always when I like to go home.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've been to visit me both in Norway and France and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. It's tough having a kid here and not having the family support, or I mean it's probably hard for my parents too. They only see her when I'm home, or they came here last summer, but
and it's pretty hard to FaceTime 18-month-old.
Yeah.
They're not that good at it.
I found it easier to do it from the computer than the phone. So, but I mean,
I should try that.
Yeah, we do it on our computer now, and she can press the screen as much as she wants.
Yeah, okay. Have to try.
But I mean, the technology with the video and stuff it is now. So I Skype with my family once a week at least.
Yeah. With
my parents and my brothers, and I text with my niece that's 9, 10. So I mean, it's hard, and I always think that I'm going to end up at home eventually.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You just never know.
Yeah, I have my stepson. It's a little bit of a different situation that he has his mom here and everything. So I don't think, he's almost 9 now. So I think if we did move, he's really into hockey right now. So I'm kind of hoping maybe we can move to Canada if he'll be riding that train. He'd be interested. But like I've made a lot of friends here now. And he goes to school, and I'm in university now. So, and like Peter has a really good job, and like all of his friends are here. So it's, I don't know, like it's a nice idea, but I don't think, like I'm really close with my family too. So that's really the only thing that I would move for.
Yeah.
So
go take a walk.
No, but my parents are gonna retire soon too. I hope. And then I think it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. No, but it's always tough to kind of talk about not moving home. It's not easy to be away. So, but I'm really happy with my day-to-day life here, and I really hope my parents can come here. I'm really fortunate, actually. They come 2-3 times a year, and I get to go back at least once a year. But yeah, if they can move here, then I'm set. So no, but if they, I think they would love to be here more too. So I'm sure once that's a possibility, then they'll be here. And I'll be okay.
And we can make pickles together.
Yeah. No, but like day to day, I'm really happy with how everything is. But yeah, it'd be nice if it was an 8-hour drive.
Yeah.
12-hour flight.
And flying with babies is a challenge as well.
Yeah.
But
no, it's hard.
Yeah. And I cry all the time for no reason. So this is fine. Mike will be laughing now because I cry all the time. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think I'd almost rather move somewhere warmer if I'm gonna move my whole family. Then.
Yeah, what's the -40 or something, you guys?
Yeah, it's really cold this week.
Yeah, no, we're happy. We've had snow in Stavanger now. Normally it's like +3 and raining. So we've had snow now for on and off, but mostly on for about 3 weeks now. And so it's like, it's awesome. Yeah. We're out sledding every day. Yeah. And the last time that happened was in 2012.
It hasn't happened since I moved here. Yeah. This is the first year that we've had snow.
The first year I moved here from France, we had snow for about a week. But other than that, it's one day if you're lucky. So they're sold out everywhere in stores for toboggans, those rocket racers, those sitting discs, everything's sold out. It's going crazy here.
And even on the weekends, like because of Corona, they have to sell a limited amount of lift tickets at like the local ski hill. So it's sold out almost every weekend. So it's kind of nice that people are really enjoying it. And this is the first year because we usually have a ton of cruise ships in the summers and the spring and the fall. And this is the first year now that we haven't had them. So it's kind of like, should we have snow every year? But the pollution is ruining our winters. So it's really nice. And I hope we get to have it every year, even if it's for a month. It's really nice.
But I do not want -40. No, sorry, guys.
Yeah, I came here on a scooter, you know.
She scooted over here today.
Beginning of February, like that's perfect. Mine is a little bit cold in my hands, and that's it.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'll just read the last couple like comments that were just said, and then I think we'll be pretty much finished unless you guys have some closing remarks. But Mike said, amazing people, miss them very much. Abby, your mom said, pickles coming your way, Kim.
Damn it!
I'll send you my address. Don't send it through her. I'll never see them.
And then Mike also said, Abby is a comedian now.
Never stopped.
So I think I've covered everything that I have to talk to you guys about. Do you have anything you guys would like to say?
I think we both were away, and I mean, when we come home, it's not always we connect with the people at home in Alberta and stuff, Alberta Handball, but we do appreciate and remember where we came from, for sure.
No, and even like we were talking about, like, because we weren't really sure what questions we were getting, so we were kind of reminiscing a little bit on like, and I was thinking, I can't even remember how many times I've been to Auburn, like with the national teams, and like there's too many things that I got to do that I honestly have a hard time remembering. And like you guys posted that like some of the trips I went on, and it wasn't even all of them, and it was in 2 years, and it's like it was such a life changing 2 years of my life that I feel like I didn't even really get to show any appreciation because it just happened so fast, and now I'm here, and yeah. So I'm really, really grateful that I started this. And I'm happy that so many people are doing it now. It just seems even bigger. And
well, just when Abbey was saying when she started, she had to go to like a tryout thing with all of these people. Like that even didn't exist in my time. Like we played in Edmonton League where I think one of our first games we played against people that were 10, 15 years older than us, and we won 3-2. Like that was like it. Yeah. There was one league that you played in, and it was for every age group. And so I think it's really cool to see how much Alberta's developed. And when I go home and people talk about, this upcoming player, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. I used to know everybody that had ever the handball in Alberta, and now I don't know. It's just so big, and that's really creds to Mike and Alberta Team Handball at what everybody that is there does for the program. So that's really cool.
No, and even like seeing how big junior high handball is now, that I wish I would have started. Like maybe I could have been, who knows, if I had done junior high handball. Like I did since I was 17. So I think that's so great, and you got to get those athletes, before it's too late. So I think it's so cool that it's such a big thing now, and I really hope that it gets bigger because lots of my friends have never even seen handball still.
It was cool that they played you guys had the Worlds. On like real TV and
TSN or CBC or CBC. Yeah. No, I think that's great.
That helps a lot.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see how it gets, and hopefully more people come over here and somebody can be my au pair.
Awesome. Okay, well,
but thank you very much for doing this.
You're welcome. It was really fun to talk to you guys.
Look back on everything and cry, like what else is new. So.
Okay, so I'm live.
You're just gonna sit here.